Bat Force Radio.
Bat Force Radio is rated M for mature, or should that be immature?
Hey guys, Dustin Wynn.
Hey, this is Scott Snyder.
This is Paul Dini.
And you're listening to Bat Force Radio.
And you're listening to Bat Force Radio.
You're listening to Bat Force Radio.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, and you're listening to Bat Force Radio, so stay tuned.
Welcome everyone to episode 7 of Everything Batman Podcast. I am your host, Everything Batman. As always, we got Bat Force Tom.
What's up, guys?
Today, we're fortunate enough to have two guests today. One's a really close friend and also a Batman fanatic. There's going to be a lot of Batman jokes in this episode. Please welcome Anthony.
What's up, man? How you guys doing?
Chilling. Our second guest, also someone you might recognize if you collect comics or just curious to see on how this market is going nuts. Elite Comics 11, Ollie, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for taking the time of coming over and just hanging out. Crazy times we're living in. A lot of things are happening. As I mentioned, comic book prices are skyrocketing. You guys are really familiar with this. And yeah, just let's dive into it a little bit. And let's just start. What's your origin story? Like, what got you into collecting comics, and what is currently your hobby today?
Okay, so I've been into comics pretty much my whole life. I mean, my grandfather, he collected books, and he trickled down into my dad collecting books, and then I got into it, pretty much from, I guess, the ages of 8 or so. But, I didn't really know, what they were. I just would go to the store with my dad and, pick out, the most fluorescent or colorful cover, that I saw on the shelves. Just like any other, 90s, late 80s kid, So it kind of developed from there into, a love. And then my dad, he would take me to comic book shows that we would have locally when we used to have them. Obviously not happening anymore. And then I went to the bigger cons, New York City Comic Con. I went to a couple of big Long Island ones, a couple of Jersey ones, throughout my life with my dad. And, my dad, he kind of just showed me what to do, with how to sell books, little here and there, and, long ago, when I got married, my dad, said, "Hey, I'm not going to give you, a formal wedding gift. I'm going to give you something that's going to basically set the way for your future." And, I knew what it was, but at the time I just wasn't really into the prices and stuff like that or anything like that. So he basically gave me full runs of Superman 1 all the way up to Superman 200.
Jesus.
Fantastic Four #1 up until I think it was issue 100 or something like that. I had my dad's favorite character was Daredevil. He gave me literally Daredevil 1 all the way up into the last issue of Frank Miller's run.
Jesus.
And a little bit after that as well too. He gave me my grandfather had some golden age what they call pre-code books, but those are just horror looking covers, nothing really special about them. I mean, I'm not trying to deface it or anything like that. It's cool if you collect it, but it would just never appeal to me. But so my dad gave me all that. I cashed it all in. I bought myself a home. Basically started my life.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. So that happened, and then I was like, you know what? I was like, obviously there's money to be made in comics, And my dad always said to me, if you really want to make some money in this business, go for the golden age stuff. Golden age is where it's at. And, I didn't know any better, so I just took his word for it. I did my research and, I was just shopping around and I kind of said to myself, well, I was like, I've always loved Batman. I like Batman a lot, so let me see what I can do and try and collect this. And little did I know, Batman is the most expensive freaking character in the world to collect. So I was like, okay.
We know.
Yeah, you guys know pretty much well. And I didn't realize, that his true first appearance is, Detective Comics 27, which is like the most impossible book to pretty much find, if you could find it, and then let alone afford it, So it was just, just a series of that going on. And then I was always, like I said, I was always into the Turtles as a kid too. I'm a 90s kid. So, I mean, what 90s kid wasn't into the Turtles or X-Men and stuff like that? So I started venturing around and just kind of just stuck with Golden Age Batman stuff. I think I've got as far as I could possibly go with it, to be honest. But
for now,
I don't know, man. It's it's hard, man. It's hard. You know damn well it's hard,
Did you keep anything that your dad gave you, like at the time, knowing that you would eventually use that to like flip to get more, or was it strictly just life stuff, your house and everything that you needed for life?
Well, so here's the thing. So I kept one book. I kept the Fantastic Four #1. It's a 2.5 white pager. I don't know why I kept the book. I know he loved the book, so that's why we kept it. But everything else was just, I sold it. But I didn't. I was shopping around at the time. I was going to sell it to some, bigger auction houses and stuff. And, I just didn't like the price that they wanted to kind of give me for it, So
you got to make top dollar.
Yeah, my father was like, listen, he's like, we're just going to go to my friend. He lives in Philadelphia. He's a comic collector his whole life. He'll give us, he'll give you the money that you think that you need. And I was like, well, it's not what I need. It's like what you think it's worth. I was like, I don't really know. So he was like, listen, we're going to go there and that's where you're going to get your money. So it went to a private collector.
Oh, nice.
Hey, and it's somebody that you knew, and it's not like, I feel like, I don't know, if it was me, I'd feel a little bit better about that because it's somebody you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not going to some random auction house, and it's not being paraded like a whore and sold off.
Yeah. I mean, I still talk to my dad's friend all the time. I'm actually, we did like it was like a weird deal. So I was trying to sell my Detective Comics 31, right? So he was like, oh, I want it, So he was like, I'll pay what do you want for it? So I was like, all right, let me drive it down. So I drove 2 hours to give it back to him. To give it to him. And then a month or two later, he's like, hey, do you think I could like maybe give you the book back and you can just give me the money back? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I guess. I was like, that's what you want to do. Fine, So like I said, I still talk to him every now and then. He's got he's got a crazy collection. I mean, we're talking like full X-Men run, full Fantastic Four run, full Superman run. He's got tons of early Detective Comics. I think he has pretty much every one besides 27. I know he has an Action Comics 1. He has that. What else does he have? For the first appearance of the Flash. He's got crazy books.
Everything.
We're talking like thousands upon thousands of books.
Which is perfect segue. Ollie, we're going to talk about all your books and everything you post because I've been looking at your posts the last couple of days, the last month, And I'm like sending screenshots to my friend who owns a comic shop. I'm like, dude, look what this book is up to right now.
Yeah.
Let's discuss a little bit of how did you get involved in this hobby? Or it's kind of like a job now, right? You're pretty much self-made. Let us tell us a little bit about you.
So my collecting side, I mean, it exists. I'm also a child of the late 80s, 90s. So, growing up, it's like the Turtles, it's X-Men, Spider-Man, and, you're a fan. I mean, that's what you grow up with, and it's awesome. So, of course, I collected the comics. But my comics, when I was growing up, it was like Jim Lee, X-Men #1, like in the 90s. It's like, I love it. It's like, it's me. I think it's actually, there's the #1 behind me right there.
Yeah.
So that's what I collected. And then, it's funny because like business and collecting were never too far apart for me. Like, not to get too deep into it, but growing up, my parents had like this home decor, like silk flower shop, and then they would do like craft fairs. So I actually got dragged to the store or to these craft fairs, and I was like collecting, and I would go to these trade events where there would be all kinds of wholesalers. And so, long story not so short, I basically started setting up a small table within my parents' like booths to like just sell collectibles to like other kids. And so
awesome.
So I did my own collecting, but then I also was buying a few things wholesale and then setting up at these shows that I was like forced to go to. And that's just because, I'm half Lebanese, I'm half Honduran. Like I'm the oldest, so I always had a role in the family business. So like, I'm just wired business-wise, like to just look for opportunities. So even at the young age, that was that. But anyways, so
wait, we can't just gloss over that. I'm sorry, because I just have this. How old were you when you had your Elite Comic Con at your parents'? You had your very own mini Elite Comic Con at your parents'. It's like a con within a con. How old were you when you were doing that?
When I started setting up the tables at these craft fairs, I was probably, let's say, I probably didn't start doing that until I was like 10.
Dude,
maybe 11.
That's so awesome. So
you had the
market cornered on the craft convention.
Children, the children that were dragged to those shows and like crying, and like they saw my booth as like it's like an oasis within a craft fair, and they're like, "Mom, I want that," and I'm like, "Come on."
Bring it on.
Awesome, dude.
Give me your allowance.
Did you ever get any competition where like another booth, a little mini booth popped up? Like,
oh no, those were the good old days.
Yeah, the market cornered, dude.
The market was cornered. But anyways, so then, my life is kind of jumbled. So sorry, but then I like put the blinders on and I focus, and like I go through undergrad and I go to law school and I become a lawyer, and I'm like, I start out in a private firm and I'm working, doing all that. I started investing because now, I have some money I didn't have growing up. I had a humble beginning. And at some point, like, 2006, 2007, I'm like, hey, I always like comics, but I always knew about like the fundamental issues, but I never had money growing up to even imagine owning any of them. Why don't I just pick up a few of them and kind of treat them as like a fun investment? And then, hey, I actually get to own these things for once. So I did that. I picked up Spider-Man #1 in a 4.5. It was a CGC 4.5. That was the first kind of Silver Age Grail I ever bought. And just kind of, when I get into things, I tend to really get into them. So I started meeting people, talking to people, and eventually I realized, hey, I'm kind of developing this network where I could find things that I know I can get for cheaper than I could actually sell them for on the open market. So one thing leads to another, and eventually I'm like, hey, there's like a business opportunity here on a different level with this network. And so, we'll kind of fast forward through this part, but through Facebook groups and then ultimately onto Instagram, I started posting some books up for sale, always with permission, to basically say, you know, hey, can I put your book up on my page? And if it sells, how much would you need? And I started that way. And one thing led to another. And eventually, you know, your network just keeps expanding. And so you fast forward to today, and, you know, I own, it's at elite_comics11. It's the premier consignment page on Instagram. Like you were saying, if you go on my page, who knows what you're going to see every day, like consignments of crazy books. You know, I mean, these are all generally graded keys, and every day it's a new story. I mean, there's a lot. If anyone's ever been on the page, they know that you legitimately do not know what you're going to see each day. Like anything's essentially possible. And so that's kind of where we are today. As far as collecting, I did bring a few pieces of things I always wanted, but like I do have a PC, but then, you know, I kind of keep that a little separate from my business. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell. So
How much was the Spider-Man 1 in 2007? A 4.5.
4.5. I paid $7,000 for it, and I thought I couldn't tell if I was a complete moron for that. It was a 4.5 white pager. I remember thinking a lot about it because I didn't think I knew enough to know if I was really just getting bamboozled.
Yeah.
But it worked out really nicely. It was actually an unpressed copy. So I ultimately got, you know, I have a pressing team. We got it up to a 6.0, that same copy. And I used that money to really start my page. Like I just use it as, I use the profits from that to really put some money into our page and get it going.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's just amazing. Wow. I can't believe it was $7,000.
Yeah.
What's it go for now? 4.5.
We actually just sold a 2.5 a few days ago for $9,600.
Oh my God.
So that was a 2.5. So this book, that book I was talking about, actually ended up being a 6.0. So there you go.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you pretty much do consignments for other people on your page?
Yeah, I mean, we're primarily a consignment page. Like I said, I do have my own PC, and occasionally I'll have my own direct sales, but the business is really set up as a consignment page, and then we do live sales as well. The live sales are a huge part of what we do as well. We bring in shops from across the country, dealers across the country to sell on our platform, and there's been incredible live sales almost daily. I mean, we do at least 4 or so a week nowadays. So
that's amazing. I'm not sure. Is that something you started after during the pandemic, or was it something you were doing anyway?
Yeah. So we had the consignment page when the pandemic hit. That already existed, but basically, like a month into the pandemic, you know, I knew we could live stream, but we had never live streamed really. I mean, I might have posted a video or two, but once the pandemic hit, I decided to try something new. I actually, before the pandemic hit, we did a virtual convention, but it was all based on like posts. Like we just posted things. Our convention's called AtCon. It was, as far as I can tell, the first virtual convention on Instagram. But the first one was before the pandemic, and it was just posts. So the pandemic hits, and I just decide, look, we're going to start live streaming because I know we could do split screen live streaming. All these shops around the country that like cannot open right now, with this following we have, this network of buyers, why don't we bring in these shops that are struggling right now, split screen, and just have our followers buy directly from these shops and like help these people out, like when they can't even open their doors because these are families. Remember, I grew up in a family business, so like that really, you know, I understood what they were going through, and so we did that. We called it the Remedy Tour.
I remember that.
We started doing live.
I remember that too.
Yeah, and so
I bought a couple of books that during those live sales. It was fun.
Yeah, so a ton of shops in New York and the California, Oregon. Like we went across the country on this Remedy tour, and then we took what we learned from the Remedy tour and helping these shops and dealers out. Dealers, the conventions got canceled. They had a bunch of stock, and that's what they do for a living. They didn't have anything that they didn't know how to do. They didn't know what to do, so they came on. We helped them too. So then you fast forward, we do the next AtCon. I didn't plan to do another convention until at least a year from the first one, but then the pandemic happened. I'm like, look, everything's getting canceled. Let's just do another virtual convention, but this time, let's bring in the live streaming component. All these lessons we've learned from the Remedy tour, let's implement them and do live sales and just make people feel like they're actually going to the convention and like they could buy things directly from a dealer. And we're also continuing to help these people. And it was sweet music. I mean, it was incredible. I mean, and the rest is kind of history. And ever since then, we've continued with the live sales. We've done a third AtCon. We just did it. It was better than each one was better than the next. And the best one will be even more massive. The next one will be even more massive. But yeah. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing, and we've had incredible special guests, and the sales continue to be tremendous. So
that's amazing. That's a beautiful thing, helping these shops out, because there were so many of them that were struggling, and one of the things I feared is local shops having the same issue. So I try to sell stuff at my shop every time I went to help them out, just because every little bit helps.
Yeah, indeed.
And that was massive. Do you, with things opening back up again, do you see yourself continuing this and going to live cons?
We're essentially a consignment page, a broker page. I've never set up physically at a con.
Oh, nice.
But the dealers and vendors and shops I work with, like, they do physical cons, and they're starting to reopen, and some of them have done these, the physical cons as they start to open up. But I mean, frankly, there's a great efficiency in what we do at these live sales that, I mean, not to boast too much, but everybody who has done live sales with Elite Comics 11 this past year did incredibly well. So I'm sure there's aspects of the physical convention they miss, like meeting people, seeing people face to face, that kind of stuff. But the sales, I think we can continue to provide that efficiency and success that it's really hard to replicate at one location with one limited set of buyers. So that's going to be interesting. But me myself, I myself miss kind of hanging out, seeing Anthony at New York Comic Con. Like, that's something I look forward to doing again. But
can't wait.
So I think there's room for both. I think there's also room for potentially our platform to enhance the physical conventions in different ways. So that's some things we've been thinking about.
Awesome. All right. So now we were talking about collecting and slab comics. The number one question I have to ask at all times when it comes to this: CGC, CBCS.
I knew it. I knew it was coming.
I have to ask. It's tough because, like, you might know people that work there. One's obviously looked on as a more pristine comic book way to get things graded. We're going through a price shift that just occurred. There's so many components that everyone in the industry is like, all right, should I switch to these? Should I stick to CGC? I don't know. I want to know about both. How you guys feel about it? Like, which one and why, if you're allowed to say that without getting in trouble. And or what's your personal preference?
I guess I'll go first. I mean, listen, they're both prestigious companies. They're both well established. They've it's real. I don't know. For me, I just didn't have good experience with CBCS. I had a book that I bought. I bought the book mainly to get it converted to CGC. Happens being I couldn't get it converted because they said that there was some restoration to it, and CGC counted it as restoration. So I had to keep it CBCS.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Whatever. But that's not always the case. That's not always the case.
Wait. Quick question about that.
Yeah.
So you had it CBCS, and they hadn't, or wherever you got it from, however it happened, there was some restoration apparently, and that wasn't noted on their grading.
Nope.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was.
It's weird.
Was it?
And then
Do you think it was? You think it was an inside job?
Nah. It was just. You know what it is? They might have just missed it.
Okay.
It's possible. I mean, CGC does it too.
True.
It's
Huge
possible on both companies. It's just how it goes. I mean, I've heard crazy success stories with CBCS. And I've seen books from CBCS get converted to CGC, and the grade actually comes back higher. It's just. I guess
it's that person component. Like it's a human still doing that on that side.
Yeah.
So anything can happen either or.
I don't have any, anything bad to say about either company. I mean, they're both, like I said, they're both prestigious. They both do their job well. For some reason, some people just, gravitate more towards CGC, and they think that they could just get a higher value out of it, which is, if they're selling rather, which is fine. I mean, I don't know. To me, it's all about presentation. If I like the way a book looks in a certain holder, I'm just going to buy it. Like I had a Tech 33, CBCS that just looked really good in a CBCS holder. And I was like, yeah, I like the way it looks. It looks cool. Like, presents really well. So why not buy it?
True.
It's just, I guess it's personal preference. I don't know.
Yeah. How about you? How do you feel about these powerhouses?
Yeah, so they both are. I mean, tremendous amount of respect for both of them. So first of all, Elite Comics 11. I mean, we're an authorized CGC and CBCS dealer. So I talked to them. And we work together on things. So the answer is, to me, I mean, there's sitting in this chair, because we do a lot of pressing and cleaning and then submitting for our clients as well. I've seen there's been mistakes on by both companies. There's great things by both companies. They each have their strengths and what I would perceive as, a little bit of a weakness that hopefully they'll improve on. So me personally, generally speaking, our page is typically filled up with CGC books. What does that say? I mean, it means you would expect that because, there's some market share there for CGC currently. That doesn't mean it might not. I mean, it could change, but CGC has been incredibly supportive of our page. And I mean, like you were saying, I mean, I think there is a perception that is sort of, it's almost like it's gotten to the point where I think, especially with some of the most recent things where it's like Nintendo and Sega. And if you grew up in the 90s, it's like there was pluses and minuses to both of them. It almost became some personal preference issue. And, and they each had their negative stories and positive stories. So for me personally, in my own collection, you're going to find CGC books typically, except with a few exceptions. And most of that has to do with books I had that had signatures on them, but I did not get witness signatures. Wow. And so CBCS does provide the service where they'll authenticate signatures. Even if they didn't witness them, they used a sponsor of several of our conventions and events, and I really like the people over there as well. So,
coming from a noob perspective, because I never really delved into grading unless it's something that it was like I was going to keep it in my personal collection and I got it witnessed, so I had it signed, and yeah, why not? I just as a guy who is not in that world of flipping graded books, just as the collector, I feel like, and I don't know, maybe Dunk, you can chime in. I feel like CGC is maybe more aggressive in their presence at conventions, at least with like getting the noob like me to go get a book graded or witness or something like that. I feel like I don't know, maybe that, and I don't think I didn't seek this out because I remember there's the first time I ever got a book graded or signed and witnessed at a convention. I just saw the CGC guys in the line and they were there to wait to witness something. And I was like, hey, what are you guys doing? And like, oh, these guys are going to witness our books to get them graded. And I was like, oh yeah, like I want to do that. And so, I guess it was kind of the right place at the right time. But then I have noticed, every time I go to a convention, there's always a CGC rep like at the booth witnessing. It just seems like maybe it's because that's just like the company that I saw first. And so, you see one car or you buy a car and then you always keep seeing it. Maybe that's what it is, psychological. But I just feel like maybe they were doing more footwork at like cons to just get their stuff in people's hands more. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, there definitely is a bigger presence for CGC. Like I said before, a lot of people just gravitate towards it because they, it sells. I guess if you're a dealer, it sells quicker than something CBCS. But why I like CBCS is because I like the signature authenticator.
Yeah,
like I
cool.
like that. I like knowing that, like, okay, well, certain artists. I mean, Dave. I mean, you could vouch for it. I'm sure. And I'm sure Tom, you as well. I've been to some signings like locally, and they don't have CGC. So, like I did a Dave Mazzucchelli, with a couple of the Bat Force guys, right? And CGC was there, but they weren't taking his books.
Whoa.
So, because he didn't want it verified.
Yeah, a lot of, yeah.
Because he's like, he's a pretty private guy. You guys know that.
Yeah.
So if I wanted my book graded, I can go to CBCS and they're just going to authenticate it for me.
Man. And there is a lot of creators right now that either have deals where they want to get paid because either they want to get paid because they know you're going to get the book witnessed and slabbed. So they want to cut that, like maybe $5 extra on the book. They're doing that right now. And or some will just not, like, I won't allow CGC to witness the signing. So they just won't let you be there. And then that's kind of like, I mean, okay, well, CGC's not going to witness it. They're not going to slab it, but I'm going to go get it from this guy. I mean, it's like, it's kind of a loophole for a fan. And to be honest with you, like, I feel like that's, as a noob, a lot of times, like when I go to a convention and I'm like, I just want to get something signed for my personal collection. Fucking man, I don't want to go and have to hassle with like getting a rep, having them come over, filling out the paperwork right now, and so I'm not going to get it slabbed. I'm just not going to. I didn't know that you can do it later and have it authenticated afterwards and still get it slabbed. Like, that's kind of big. That's huge.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that too. I mean, I think there was, I forget which one it was. There was a con. No, I'm wrong. I was going to say something with Keaton because I remember he did that con in San Antonio.
And
at the Alamo Theater or something.
Yeah.
And I was across the street 2 days later. I was late.
I thought CGC wasn't going to be there, and usually when people say, "Oh, CGC is not going to be there," well, just forget it. Like like
they don't know.
They shouldn't. They shouldn't forget it. They're just like, "Oh, well, I'll just send it to CBCS later and on my own time," instead of rushing it, and just get it done then. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking of that. I have some books I have to send.
Yeah, dude, I'm thinking about it right now. I got stuff signed right now that's like probably pretty. I know that they're not in bad condition, but shit, like the only reason I didn't, like you said, like I didn't know I can get that done.
But for the flipping purposes, there is a value difference in sending something signed to CBCS and actually being around someone to witness it and getting it graded. Like, how substantial of a difference is that when it comes to selling?
I think it's substantial, but you need to think about this not only. I mean, you need to think about it from kind of like a common sense aspect as well. Like that process you guys just described, that costs money. It costs money and it costs time. So if somebody went through the hassle of getting all that, hassle, it costs money and it costs time. Like they're gonna expect a higher return for that just because their cost is higher to have gone through that. So of course there's a substantial difference, but there's also it's not only that either. I'm telling you, just there's a perception. It's only do you like Nike shoes? Do you like Reebok shoes? That's kind of where we are. There's also a nuance. So not to get too technical here, but I think this should be pointed out. And I can use an example here. So if you have a signature on the cover of a book that wasn't witnessed, you can send that to CBCS. They can authenticate that signature after the fact, and then they just grade the book, right? Okay. But if you have a signature on the cover, if you have that same situation, there's a signature on the cover, but it wasn't witnessed. If you send that to CGC, not only will they not authenticate that signature on the cover, they're also going to dock the grade for it.
Oh.
So, if you got a 9.0 raw book and you have the artist sign on the cover, if you send it to CGC, they're going to, I don't know exactly how it would probably come back like an 8. And
Damn.
It would just say, the name of the person written on the cover. It wouldn't authenticate it. But then the 9, if it was a 9, it would, if you sent it to CBCS, it would come back verified and it would retain the 9, in theory, because they wouldn't hit it for that signature. One nuance there is CGC does not dock the grading on an unwitnessed signature if the signature is on the splash page inside the book, the first page, not on the cover. So here's an example. This is a cherished book in my PC. It's X-Men 1.
I knew it.
It's signed by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby on the first page. So the signatures are in here. CGC does indicate that those signatures are on the first page, and this book did not receive a grade hit for those signatures because they were on the first page, even though they're unwitnessed. Okay, so this book was previously I did get it graded with CGC before that to authenticate the signatures, and now it's actually in the CGC slab. So
interesting.
That's how they dealt with that. So that's a little nuance there with the grading kind of policy.
I had no idea.
So
I'm learning, Dunk. I'm learning.
Yeah, so am I. I was I just learned so much in the last 20 minutes.
This episode's for the kid.
I gotta go send some books, but although I am waiting on 95 books from CGC, but
95?
Yeah, man.
95.
I'm trying to flip too. That's why we're on here. I'm learning something.
Jesus Christ. Quit that job, Dunk.
Hell yeah, quit the job. I wake up every morning and I tell myself, I don't want to go to work today. This shit sucks. But you send me over some pictures, so we're gonna go over some of the events on those pictures, some of your PC collection, and some stories behind them. Anthony as well. So Tom, hit us with some pics real quick.
those are my twins right there. So those are both. They're matching 5.5 off-white pages. They are both signed on the first page by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. So those books are not going anywhere. Those are personal collection books for sure. It's incredible to have one of those, to have both of them matching like that. Unbelievable. I'm still shocked I found both of them.
Very nice.
Whew.
AF-15. So I revealed before the show I'm a Spider-Man I'm a Spider-Man fan, and so this one I typically don't go crazy over signature books, but I thought an AF-15 with Stan's signature on it, particularly in low grade that looked like that. I thought that was something I wanted, and I love that one as well.
The colors on that are pretty damn good for a 2.0.
Yeah,
man, definitely.
That suit pops.
So there's CGC does this thing with the labels. I'm a fan of the Marvel labels because I don't know, DC should license that out to CGC so we get some Batman labels. I'm hating on your Spider-Man right now, but like I love, that's one thing that I do enjoy when it comes to submitting books to CGC is if you're a Marvel fan, you do have the option of paying, I guess, an additional $5 to get this licensed label on there, and that's pretty unique. So it just makes the book pop a little more.
Yeah. Definitely.
Why does what's the story behind Rob Liefeld not wanting any of the Deadpool ones to do that?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, I heard there's something there, but I don't want to misstate anything, so I don't know exactly what the issue is there.
Okay, but something regarding like probably licensing and money, I'm assuming.
Yeah, you would
it's
think.
It's always money.
It's always about the money. So, yeah, that's my new Batman 1 that I just got. It's a 2.0 white pager. Really, really, really good presentation on this book. I stumbled across this book literally by accident. I had a 1.5 before this. I was like tinkering with the idea of maybe getting an upgrade someday. Just didn't think it would be so soon. And I saw someone that posted a picture of it, and I just nonchalantly DM'd them and just asked if it would possibly be for sale, and they accepted, and they were like, yeah, it's for sale, and we just happened to make a deal, and that was how that happened.
Dude, I can't remember if it was the first one that you got, the 1.5, or if it was a Tech. Was it the Tech 27 maybe?
No,
oh god. Okay, so maybe it was this one then. So I think it was the first one. The first time you got it was the 1.5. And I remember you like just nonchalantly posted it. And I had no idea your background as far as like that if your grandfather and your dad were collectors. I just thought you just were you just jumped into this and that's what you went with. And I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, like this guy's crazy. What happened? Like, what is going on? And then now it makes total sense. I was like, oh, okay, this is taking some time, and you've been doing this and researching, and you know how this works. So that makes a lot more sense. But I remember like the first time you posted this thing, just out of nowhere, I was like, holy shit. So
yeah, it's it took some time to kind of get there. Like I said, I was content with my 1.5, and then I was like, since Batman's not doing anything crazy right now, maybe there is a chance I could upgrade in the future, but I didn't think it would be the near future. So, when you see something like this, with white pages, to be honest with you, of all the copies I've personally seen in front of my face, or just scrolling through Instagram or Facebook or whatever, I've only seen one copy with white pages, and that was the highest grade copy, which was the 9.4 that sold in Heritage for like $2 million or whatever it sold for. But
a 9.4, can you imagine that?
They bought it and they put it in a bag and board with the foresight back then. That's what that is.
Yeah,
that's insane.
I have never seen another copy with white pages before.
This is actually pretty fresh for a 2.0. Like it presents amazing.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at some 4.0s side by side with this, this would actually pretty much beat out some of the 4.0s that are actually out there.
So the thing that I notice is again, it's a 2.0, but the colors, just like the Amazing Fantasy, like, do they take that into consideration, like the fading and the colors at all?
Yeah, to some degree, I'm sure. I mean, I've seen some books. Like I've seen, I think it was what's a book that gets faded usually a lot, like an ASM one. I've seen a couple of those like faded, and it actually obviously affected the grade to some degree because
Anthony, we just had a sort of a, I have a friend who, it was this weird situation. They bought a Hulk 181, and structurally the book looked like a 7.0, but it was really horribly faded. Like there was like barely any color left on it. And it was actually sent to both grading companies, and both grading companies, I believe, like landed on like a 4.0, even though structurally the book was a 7.0. So yes, they do definitely take that into account, at least at some point.
That's brutal. And is that like this? They probably had it like on display, like near like a window or something.
Yeah,
probably sunlight. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Man, see that? So my shit's not. I mean, I don't have anything that's of like great insane value behind me, but that's I got this rack over here, and I mean the things that you can see right now. That's just a recent Snyder run, but I have a couple of books like that are signed, and that's something that I'm worried about it because I got a window right here. I always keep the blinds up, but I'm like, man, that's probably the fucking worst place to put that spinner rack. But
yeah,
no, I think you're okay.
As long as I keep the blinds up.
I'm sensitive to it too. I'm always, I'm broadcasting out of here. There's a window. I have the blinds up, but that's why, I like the stuff behind me, but you usually won't see like, the higher end books behind me because I'm paranoid that they're going to be affected somehow. Right. And I don't want to keep having to switch them in and out all the time.
I wish people understood the struggle and they were a little more, I just would like more empathy, but that's okay. This one's dope. Duncan and I were saying, so Anthony, is this yours?
Yes.
Is this an original or is this one of the foil variants?
No, this is a first print Dark Knight Returns.
God damn. All right.
Yeah, it is fire.
This is I actually bought this from somebody off of Facebook. Some guy posted it one day, and he was he basically kind of like gave it away to me.
Wow. And it's
like
9.6.
The price was the price was way too good to come down. I mean, as of recently, this book has been kind of heating up, like a 9.8
fire
without signatures or anything. Sold for like a high of like $2,900 or something. Like
what
that.
The fuck?
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Wait, isn't that nuts?
When?
Mm-hmm. I mean,
I'm happy with my 6.0.
I mean, I could probably get this book and send it in to get pressed because when I spoke to the guy initially that sold it to me, he was like, "Listen, man, this book is a 9.8 all day." He's like, "I think they just happened to, just look over it." And I was like, "Oh, really?" He's like, "Yeah, man." He goes, "Take a look at it." And I got the grader notes on it, and he's right. I just haven't sent it in. I'm just kind of lazy.
Dude, it's amazing. The remarks look amazing.
Yeah. I mean,
that's why I had to ask. I'm like, is this a fucking like a 9.6 on a? I mean, this book has been handled by so many people, so that's why I'm like, I was surprised by that grade. So wait, so an ungraded? Did you say ungraded or graded?
No, graded copy. Graded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes me sad because like this one, I mean, I got this guy in really good condition.
Beautiful book.
Signed by him and Denny.
Denny O'Neil signed that?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's cool.
Solid.
I mean, I'm terrible, but like just looking off of it right now, I'm like, this is probably at least a high 8, if not more. And then I got this, which makes me now want to, this is around, I got a bent corner. I got a little whack corner on this one, but makes me wonder what yeah. I mean, and I got the set from a comic shop in Glendale in 2012 for $100 for all 4 of them.
I'm jealous of that Denny signature, man.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, I'm so happy because especially since he recently passed. So
Yeah,
this is the
rest in
only one
peace.
of that set. This is the only one of that set that the signatures are on the cover. The rest of the books have them on the inside. Actually, I think this has Frank's. This has Frank's. This has both. It's on the cover and it's on the inside. The
That's
other
awesome.
three, the other three has them
never-
only on the inside.
You know, I regret it to this day, and I say it all the time. I had 2 golden opportunities to meet Denny O'Neil when they did the 80th anniversary of Batman. He was going to be at the Studio of Illustrators or something like that, Dave, remember?
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
It was like a weeknight, and I was like all ready to go, and I was like, you know what? It was like raining, and I didn't feel like going. And then he showed up at a Garden State Jersey event, and I missed that one too. And then after that, obviously, you know, rest in peace, he passed away, and I never got a signature from him.
It's crazy.
It's tough. Yeah, they we just had CGC just had the signature. What was it? What do they call it? The private signatures, and it was Klaus and Frank Miller.
Oh yeah.
Back
And
in
then
like beginning of March.
Yeah, and like CGC posted this video of like the remarks they were doing. Man, I was so pissed at myself for not submitting anything.
Yeah, well,
It was hella dope, but that's why, like, we were talking the other day. I was like, I want to get another first print, and hopefully get some remarks on there. I have one here. It's a 6.0, but I swear on everything. My boy pointed this out. Frank Miller signature looks like a wiener.
It does.
a lot longer than it normally is. Yeah. It's funny. Like these, the changes in the signature and all that. It really looks awesome. But go ahead.
No, I was just thinking. I was like, what if, like, you know, a couple of years from now, he's like, yeah, I went like 5 to 7 years and just drawing dicks on people's covers because I thought it was funny. And I'm like, that would be the most epic story. And like in like comic history, like I'm just gonna draw dicks on people's covers.
So funny you say that. So Kevin Smith you know how, like, obviously there's signature collectors and signature hounds for celebrities. So people used to go up to Kevin Smith after he made Dogma, and they would make him sign a Dogma poster, right? And then so he would so like a autograph hound would come up to him, and they would have like a Dogma poster. So he'd sign Kevin Smith on the Dogma poster, and then next to Ben Affleck, he would, or if it was Jersey Girl, he did it with Jersey Girl, and he would do it with Dogma. So if he ever saw a poster and it had Ben Affleck on it, he would sign his name, and then he would draw Ben Affleck like sucking a dick on the poster. And both for Dogma and Jersey Girl, and then he would just do it, like he was always doing it, and then or he would do like a little bubble, and then put like "I love Dick," you know, for Ben Affleck, and then Ben Affleck, like after a couple of years, he said he finally got like a call from Ben Affleck, and it's like, "Hey man, what's up with the posters?" And then Kevin Smith's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, like all these autograph guys, they keep coming up to me, and I keep seeing like they got to you first, and you keep drawing dicks on me." So they were going back, and they would find Affleck to get his signature on it, and he would see like Kevin Smith is fucking with him like on the poster, like. So
that's hilarious, actually.
Yeah,
I wish
promise
I could find him to get a signature, Ben Affleck, but
oh yeah, man,
obviously he's never around. So
he did that one convention, like was it at the end of 2019?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. We'll stop talking about Batman soon, Ollie, I promise. But we got one more to get through.
Oh man, that's like my pride and joy, man. That is something that you guys, obviously a member of the Bat Force, got from me. Teasus, my good friend Steve. Yeah, he got me this directly from Miller during the pandemic. Oh wow! Through his handler. This is basically like my Tech 27. I mean, this is something I've always wanted. You know, my dad loved Frank Miller, to death. So, this was something I had to get. Dave knows anytime we've ever went to a signing, I was like going to ask him for like a little sketch on a book, and I was always afraid to do it. And this came a year later, literally after it. And this is like a huge piece of my collection. This is something I'm probably gonna, like you said, I'm gonna burn with it. I'm gonna die with it.
That's awesome, man. That's a nice piece right there.
Thank you.
You should get it sewn into your back.
I should.
Like a tattoo, but they sew this into your back, and then that's how you cross the gates, bro.
Yeah, man.
Face tattoo or nothing, Anthony.
Who's to say I won't do it? Who's to say I won't come down?
I'm kind of scared because I think you would do it.
This is like I said, this is like the ultimate piece from me. It means a lot to me. This is a huge piece from me, man. Definitely, for sure.
You know what I think, and rest in peace, Black Rob. I think about like this very moment. He's like going to land, and it's going to be like pound the concrete, like whoa.
Yeah.
And just for whatever reason, that lyric just stays in my head looking at this.
I see that.
Yeah, it was. It was something it was so weird how it happened. It was just like, one day Steve was like, "Hey, man," he's like, your opportunity is going to present. I was like, what? And he was like, yeah. He's like, it's going to happen. I was like, get the hell out of here. And sure as shit, it did.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. This is there's definitely got to be a story behind this, so I want to talk about it. You did a live stream with Jim Halpert.
Oh,
that's right.
So Jim Halpert, how did this happen?
Yeah, so Randall Park. So this was during the last AtCon, our virtual convention on Elite Comics 11. I actually teamed up with Culture City, Culture City is actually a non-charity for people with sensory needs. So we partnered up. We raised a lot of money, like selling collectibles on our page during the event. But I met incredible people at Culture City. So Randall Park, Agent Wu, or Jim Halper, whatever you want to call him, he's actually on the board of Culture City, and so is Dominique Wilkins and some other amazing people over there. So Randall was nice enough to actually come to our virtual convention and do an interview with me, and he's just such an incredible person, and it was for a good cause, so it's a cherished memory for our page and myself. So
that's awesome, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah. This one is super rad.
Neil, yes,
awesome.
So this is also AtCon. This is our virtual convention on Elite Comics 11, and Neil's a friend of the page. He comes pretty regularly to do live sales. We gave Neil a boost. Again, when the conventions got canceled, Neil would just see his fans and let them pick things up through our platform. And, we've been working together closely, Neil and I, and he keeps coming back. And he actually just drew the first ever exclusive Elite Comics 11 variant. It's, today's Star Wars Day. So it's War of the Bounty Hunters #1 Alpha. I have a Neil Adams cover drawn for Elite Comics 11, the variant. So we did pre-orders on it. So that was pretty epic.
Dope.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, he's. I love Neil Adams, especially because of what he's basically done for artists that pretty much have gotten shafted for a long time for their work, and he's the one guy that was loud enough to say, hey man, this is your work. You need to get paid for it. Like, don't let yourself, there's all these stories, these sad stories of these comic artists who fans don't know they're dying of cancer. They're dying of ailments. They can't pay for their own health insurance. And it's like, dude, like people don't realize that, the favorite things that you love, the artists that created them aren't getting the recognition for it. So it's cool to see that he's been the champion of artists for so long.
Yeah, definitely.
This is crazy. This looks like a combination of a Christmas party and it looks like a Christmas party you had.
So this was another event we did on Elite Comics 11, where we're a community-driven page. So over the holidays, I did this event called the Give Back, and I was talking about this incredible network I've built for Elite Comics, and the concept was, let's bring people in one by one who we've helped out over the course of the year during this pandemic, and let's have each of them show up with one or two items that we just auction off, and 100% of whatever it goes for goes to charity. So
cool.
90% of the money went to Toys for Tots, and the rest of it went to St. Jude's. And I mean, I forgot what the exact total was, but it was like, Anthony, I don't know if you remember, I should know this, but it was like $50,000.
Yeah.
Holy
shit.
That's
I remember
awesome.
I remember it being something like that, like 53,000 or something like that.
Yeah, 53,000, and then for Culture City, another charity event that we just talked about, we raised like 33,000 for them. Yeah, there you go, 33,000.
That was the one with Dominique Wilkins, right?
Yeah, Dominique Wilkins and Randall Park. Yep. So that was most recently. That one just happened this year.
Badass, dude.
Yeah.
Back to some comics.
Oh man, my turtles.
Oh.
So
shove it in
Anthony's looking for some turtles, but I got turtles. And they're not going anywhere. And yeah, that's my baby right there, the 9-2 white. That's my best Turtles copy, and the other one's that Raphael there. It's the first appearance of Casey Jones, and it has a Kevin Eastman drawing of a little sketch of Casey. That's interesting because that's actually a sketch on the CGC slab itself. So that's why it doesn't have a yellow label or anything like that. So he actually sketched that on the slab itself. So that's pretty cool and different. And then you got Turtles number 2 there on the right. First April O'Neil, first Mauser. So that's awesome. That's a cool trinity there.
Hold on 1 second, guys. Be right back. Oh wait, never mind. Yeah, something I've been wanting for a while is a Turtles book. Well, I had one and I sold it like an idiot, which I should have never have done, but it is what it is.
I'll tell you what, Anthony, like right here live, we can we'll do a trade, all right? You send me your Batman 1 2.0 and I'll find a Turtles 1 for you, but it's of my choosing, okay?
No.
Sounds like a raw deal. Sounds like a raw
man.
deal.
You have a Batman 1 2.0 with white pages. You're doing fine.
I think so. Yeah, of course. I would be doing better if I had a 9/8 Turtles too, but
All right.
What's the story behind this?
That's Baloo. That's my dog Baloo. Definitely my best friend. And it's funny because the page, when I started it, I did not know it was going to become, and I'm constantly reminded that Baloo's been by my side like the whole time. So we feature him in different ads here and there, and I guess I'm, to me, I remember the first days of our page, and he was usually just, laying down there next to me like he always does to this day. So there he is.
Nice.
Awesome, man. Well, that's damn, dude.
Those Turtles books, man. Again, growing up, early 90s. That's
it, right?
That's it. Look at that.
It.
Anthony, just in case the picture wasn't good enough for you.
Anthony, you'll never get this, right?
No, you never get this.
No, it's such an incredible book, and that's the other thing. Not this last ActCon, but the ActCon before, I actually had Kevin Eastman come live with me at an interview, and so I got to talk to him and live, and people really enjoyed that. And then at the last ActCon, I had Steve Levine, who did the lettering on this original run, and then he also did a lot of the advertisements, like on the toys, that we grew up with.
I didn't know
he
that.
Came and he sold directly, and he's actually coming back to Elite Comics 11 soon. And just everything he showed just sold because like people just love turtles so much. I mean, we're not the only ones, and so I'm excited to have him come back. Hopefully, get Kevin back as well, and Peter.
That's awesome.
Oh wow, Peter too, huh?
That's my hope. I'm not, I can't say it's happening yet, but I would hope to.
Just put it out in the world. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. You got to have that mentality already. You already have some amazing people on your show, on the lives, and
it's only gonna get better.
Yeah, and with everything you're doing, who else is not willing to jump on and be part of what you're doing, which is amazing. We're just getting over an hour. I know. I promise not to keep you guys too long, but before we jump out, I always ask our guests like any messages or anything you want to tell people you're following, or anyone who's planning on doing what we just spoke about for the last hour. Anthony, you got any advice or anything for anyone out there?
Just stay hungry and humble, and nothing is impossible. As long as you put your mind to something, you could pretty much do anything that you want to do in life.
Get that Tech 27. How about you, Ollie?
I would just say, first of all, in terms of if people are collecting as, with, thoughts of investments and such, just make sure you're having fun. Don't get too caught up in what people tell you should be picking up. Generally speaking, if it's some IP that's going to remain relevant, it's probably going to grow. You might as well have things that you yourself actually enjoy. I think it'll work out fine if you're doing that. And then the last thing is to the people that are just, maybe they're trying to dabble in the business side of things as well. My advice is, look, reputation and integrity is everything. It takes forever to build, and you can lose it in a day. So just do what you say you're going to do. Like, treat people the way you want to be treated, and just keep your word. Because, you can lose all that in an instant. I think a lot of times people are too enticed by some quick gain that they perceive. Treat people the way you'd want to be treated, and everything will work out. That'd be my advice, and keep your integrity, because you can't get it back once you lose it.
Absolutely,
great words.
100% agree to that.
Great words right there. Anywhere where everyone can find you. Is your handle the same across all platforms?
Yeah. So for Elite Comics 11, you just go to @elite_comics11. And if, like I said, we're a huge consignment page. So if you want to sell your books through us, just message us. We can get a hold of you. That's on Instagram. We have a Facebook too as well, a Facebook page as well. I do own the Vintage Comics group on Facebook. A lot of people love that group as well. But that's, as its name indicates, it's only for vintage comics. So our main page is @elite_comics11 on Instagram, and we have elitecomics11.com that can help guide people there as well.
Awesome. No TikTok?
Nah, man.
Just shaking comics around?
I'm trying to get Anthony. If I get a TikTok, I'm gonna have Anthony run it.
Oh man, you got the wrong guy. That's for sure.
Oh man. Well, guys, thank you for your time. I greatly appreciate you guys coming on and giving us your knowledge and just chit-chatting about the hobbies. Definitely looking forward to having you guys back in the near future. To close up, I'm just going to say, everyone listening and watching, please make sure you go subscribe to Bat Force Radio, our YouTube channel. Make sure you like and comment on this this podcast today. Feel free to reach out to these guys if you have any questions on this hobby. Reach out to me. I reach out to them. We'll figure something out. Well, just ending it abruptly. This is the end of episode 7. Done.